well, we see this problem, we see gangs, we see this. We have an upsurge of complaints from people that are say that their pet has been poisoned, or that they've picked up some tag numbers, or that there appears to be something going on here or something going on there. And what happens is that because of the totality of those circumstances, the government sits there and goes, we have a situation here that needs to be brought to our attention. Let's face it, the FBI would rather have the county take care of it. Mm-hmm. They'd rather have the state take care of it. Right. They're not going to take care of it unless it's a local state matter. If it's a murder, that's a state matter. Right. FBI doesn't. There's no federal law against murder.
If it doesn't happen on a federal facility.
However, if it begins to get to the point where it's going across state lines, there's conspiracies, there's weapons being transferred on beer trucks, there's things like that, and they begin to put this together, then it allows someone like you and I to go to the FBI and say, look, we don't really have a dog in the fight, but let me put it this way, we have access to some really bright young people that don't think that this is right. And if you want us to tell you about what we think is an Al-Qaeda problem, we will. If you want our young people to get involved in terms of doing the right thing, servicing this country, we'll do it. Now we've shown an effort that we can do that. But here's what we've done. We've done it from a way that is, you can sit back and you can say, okay, here we can tabulate it. Right. And we can come across to Anonymous and say, everyone please call in and tell us how many times you've been to what offices and who's been responding and who hasn't.
Excellent.
And then a former FBI agent like myself who can call over those offices and say, look, I'm just wondering, is there anyone that's paying attention to this?
Right.
Because we're concerned about it, and we're all taxpayers.
There you go.
Don't forget now, we're paying the salaries. You paid my salary when I was working there.
So you're actually serving me.
So, yes, exactly. Now, there's priorities. Of course there's priorities. However, over time, this is the type of problem, and where they want to get their teeth into it, and where the United States Attorney wants to get their teeth into it, is when you start seeing conspiracy, when you start seeing money flowing from one side to the other, when you start seeing, where they're taking the money out, and it's not for them.
Courtney, it happened to many members of Anonymous and ex-Scientologists that suddenly at their door there appears a man with a letter, cease and desist, written by one or the other attorney. Does it bear any authority if it is not from the authorities, from the police or FBI or court? And how would you react to that?
Well, clearly, Boris, let me see if I can answer it this way. When a police officer or someone representing the court, sheriff's office, if he has a warrant, certainly if it's a federal officer, under any of those circumstances, we're almost mandated initially to show identification. And identification would include name, the office where we work, the agency we're involved in, and upon request, I would provide someone, if they question my credentials, I'd open them up and say, I'm with the FBI, this is why I'm here, this is what I have. Right. I'm serving this particular piece of paper for whatever reason, and if they were to question any more than that, I would simply say, let me pull out my cell phone, please dial 202-324-3000 and ask for this extension and ask whether or not there's a Special Agent Courtney West who works for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And I would never feel affronted by that.
Sure.
I very rarely was I asked that. Very rarely, would someone brace me with that. However, if they did, as opposed to taking offense to it, we would jump at that opportunity to say, absolutely, I certainly understand. Let me wait outside the door while you check. Please close the door and I'll wait here for you. Mm-hmm. Because the fact of the matter is that we're authorized, we have authorization, and they're just double checking, and that's the right thing for them to do. So, how do I answer your question? I think I've answered it. If someone comes to your door with a cease and desist, the first thing you want to do is you want to ask for proper identification. Proper identification is not a calling card. Proper identification may be a driver's license. Yes, to a certain extent, that's a proper identification. But you're representing a cease and desist. Are you with a law firm? Are you with a court? Are you with a state? Are you with the federal system? Are you with a county? So I think the first thing you want to do is you have every right. In fact, I think it's mandatory that you ask for proper identification.
Right.
Generally speaking, that's going to flush out anyone who's there for less than
An official business.
An official business.
Right. Can an attorney cease and desist letter really be of any value in a legal sense of its text?
No. Well, let me put it this way. I'm not an attorney. However, I would say no to this extent. First of all, if there was any bearing at all, it would have to be under a civil matter, not a criminal matter.
Right.
Under a civil matter, then there should be attached to it some kind of an affidavit that would show that the local court or the magistrate has said that this is a cease and desist, and it's approved by the local authorities.
Right.
Just a cease and desist from an attorney's office isn't worth anything more than the paper that it's.
Well, thank you,
written
Courtney.
on. Yeah.
Courtney, let me ask you the last question. I know you are busy, though retired, but you're still very active. You're teaching in Quantico. Let me ask you one more thing. We are talking so much about terrorism in this country. We have suffered a terrorist attack. We lost 3,000 people. And prior to that, we lost a number of people in other places. If so-called religious visas are issued beyond the control of State Department or the FBI or any other official authority, isn't that a gate for bringing the terrorists into this country?
Let me see if I understand your question. The State Department would be responsible for that issuing of a visa, so I'm not quite too sure I understand.
Have you been in the State Department lately?
I spent quite a bit of time in the State Department, and
Right.
I will tell you, was many times less than impressed. But is your question that are they using religious visas inappropriately, or
Yes, yes.
or
There's abundance of religious visas issued and allowed by the State Department that is asked by a registered religion called Scientology. And recently there was even a murderer who killed some people here in the United States who came on, a terrorist, who came on religious visa.